Today I want to talk about a fun build that I've been playing very recently. Now this build, and going forward, this is your disclaimer. This is not meant to be a build guide. This is not meant to convert you or make you want to play this. Pretty much what happened recently was, we're in Necropolis League, things are slowing down, you have a bunch of currency to burn, you just kind of want to play something a little bit different and a little bit fun. So, I turn to you guys and I say, hey, you guys have any cool things, any weird little niche things? And my buddy Blossom was like, hold, wait, I got you, chill, relax. And I was like, all right, Blossom, what do you got? He was like, what if I told you that you were Kamehameha, bounce around the map, divine ire, holy explosion, bolts of frost blinking conundrums? And I was like, bro, what are you talking about? And he's like, I got this POB. I found it on POE Ninja. Description in the link in the comment thing down below. And I was like, what the heck? This is obviously bait. And he goes, bro, it's probably bait, but you got divines, burn them, let's do it. And I was just like, okay, so this is technically episode 1 of was this bait or not? Build showcase guide, not a build guide of really cool things that we found. And today we're going to talk about cast while channeling divine hire of holy lightning frost blink of Wintery blast. Essentially the build. Think about the things that I say when I'm recording this and I'm like, what the heck? But it's pretty much, yeah, boop. And then what happens is, to give you guys an idea, is while we're channeling divine ire has all these little electrical sparks that are going out around it, and while that's going off, I can let go for a big explosion. But essentially, while I'm channeling divine ire of holy lightning damages nearby enemies as it gains stages. So before we hop into a map, essentially what it does is I can go to mobs and I can go look for mobs. And while I hold down divine ire, the static electricity from divine ire will essentially just kill mobs. Now, when pair that with cast while channeling, you get this guy who's just blinking around the map. And because of the static electricity, it just nukes and nails everything. That's it. That's the build. There's your showcase. Have fun. But essentially, it's this really interesting, intriguing build that works off of like all kinds of the things that make Path of Exile a thing. And to really showcase it, essentially, it'd be a little bit easier to bring it into a map. So let's just scour this, chisel it, make sure it's okay. Throw on a thing, it's got some stuff on it, some more stuff, and some reduced auras is probably pretty bad. Now, the way that I have been playing this and the way that I'm doing this, I just have scarabs in for shrines and breaches. The way that I've been playing this and the way that I've been enjoying this build is as a mapper. This is not your tier 17 blaster, even though it's got gear. This is not your uber bosser. This is just something that I've been hopping in the maps with while on stream and having a little bit of fun with it. It's got, cool teleports. It can blow up everything in its path. It's a nice, fun little mapper that allows me to just kind of like go into maps, mess around, collect some corpses, and just essentially just really have a good time. Now you see, like when we first came in this map, it started a little bit slow. This pacing of it starts to ramp up really nicely, and it's got a lot of really nifty and neat features that make it a really, really, really fun mapper. To begin with, we're playing a Berserker, which I thought in itself was really cool. We're utilizing rage on the Berserker. We're taking advantage of triple effects of rage. We're taking effects of can't be stunned. We're taking effects of more damage. We're taking effects of just a ton of crit. Berserker in itself, just offered a whole lot. And you can see, like, coming back into this map now, as we start the map and we start getting going, it's a little slow. We're not really teleporting all that fast. And as we start going, you see our rage is starting to go up. We're starting to generate a little bit more rage. We're starting to go a little bit faster. Things are going smoother. And it's this nice, really cool, I hate to say like steam engine, but it's got this really nice buildup of how it works and how fast it gets to go and all the damage that it does. And I don't know, like I said, I like it and I thought it was something really cool, and I really just kind of wanted to show people because I'm pretty sure there are ways to make it better, and I'm pretty sure there are ways to make it stronger, and I pretty much just tried to copy what I saw on POE Ninja and just tweak it to what was available at this stage in the league, because there's not a whole lot available right now in the league. So you kind of, you know, you got to work with what you're given. But you see, you can just like go into a map, you just teleport all around, you really don't have to think, you have nice AoE, you have nice clear, you get to the map boss and you just kind of like give him a little love tap and he dies and falls right over. But as I mentioned, we are a berserker, we are channeling, we are casting, and we were doing all kinds of things. Now, right now I have the burden of shadows. This is how I deal a lot of my damage. If you do decide you want to play this, you do not need a double corrupted burden of shadows. This was just something we were testing around with. The only thing you care about on the weapon is 20% of your chaos damage dealt is equal to max life. So the more life that you stack, the more damage that you would do. And if I actually go out and buy a 20% roll on this, I'll do infinite more damage. You can see hiding my face, right now we have about 8,900 life. So we get spells deal chaos damage equal to about 20% of our life. The downside to the staff is we lose 500 health a second. We really don't care too much about that. And the staff, we have Awakened Castle Channeling. I was told that more CDR means it'll go smoother. So you really want to make sure that you try, if you're going to do it, to get it a level 6. Level 5 works, but it just becomes smoother the more CDR that you have. We have an Avoid Manip that we're still leveling. We have a Divine Ire of Holy Lightning. You want Holy Lightning because that's the one that damages nearby enemies, which is really nice. We have an increased area of effect. So you see right now our area of effect is pretty big. It'll only get bigger as we level the gem. We have a Frost Blink of Wintery Blast. This is what's allowing us to blink and move all over the map. This is easily like my favorite. It's becoming my favorite movement skill. And then increased critical strike support so that, you know, we can just make sure we get those nice juicy crits in. As far as our helmet goes, we have +1 max power charges on this helmet. Originally, as you see in the POB down below, we really kind of wanted to have RMR, and we worked around not having RMR, but essentially we just need the helmet. The only thing that's important on the helmet is the fact that the helmet takes rage and grants us cast speed instead of attack speed, and rage grants spell damage instead of attack damage. That is the absolute big important parts of using this helmet, is because we're playing Berserker and because we get triple the effects of rage and because we get so much extra rage. You see right there, we have 70 rage. We really want to take advantage of the fact that we're able to use and generate rage really well. Our helmet has Petrified Blood, Zealotry, Purity of Elements, and an Enlighten 4, Enlighten 4 so that we could fit everything. Our armor is actually really interesting. We've tested and tried other armors. There is a world where an Explodey armor might possibly be better, but having the Lesser Brutal Shrine and the Lesser Massive Shrine has been a really nice addition to this build. We hit the strength requirements very easily. The important thing is you do want the 50% reduced extra damage from critical strikes, assuming you want to take this build into tier 17s. I've taken into 17s. It's okay in 17s. I don't really like it in 17s. I prefer it in 16s, but if you are going to take it into 17s, you really want to reduce extra damage from critical strikes. You're also going to look at this POB and you're going to look at the list and you're going to be like, wow, he's got a cast point damage taken set up with life tap. That makes sense. And a blade vortex to apply certain things and a power charge on crit. All of that makes sense. And oh, a nice little tornado of turbulence. Oh, it's looking pretty good. And then you'd be like, wow, second cast point damage taken. From my understanding of how this works is it is a double cast when damage taken set up so that the cast when damage takens can cast the skills independently, or it helps. So like this one will trigger this one and this one will trigger this one, so that like if you took damage, this triggers this and this triggers this, and you don't have to wait for everything to go off in one unison. It just makes it easier. There might be a better way to do it, but I pretty much, like I said, decided to just copy what I saw on POB and test on if it was bait or not. So it's been working, and it's been working really well. So I don't know. I don't know. I just kind of, you know, we roll with it. We have a Calm Spirit to help us generate rage with +1 maximum frenzy charges. And the gloves, we have a Withering Step setup, an automation setup, enhance, and Steel Skin. This allows us to get some wither stacks going. It's pretty nice. You know, it's not the best source of wither, but it gets the job done. Our boots are pretty straightforward and pretty simple. They are strength, resistance boots with life. Just strength, resistance. You need a lot of strength on this build. We don't have a lot of room for rares, so we just get strength, resistance. I do need to redo the Eldritch implicits. You would like to have grand on action speed, and you would like to have grand on cooldown recovery rate of travel skills. These are very important. You know, you just need to roll the higher tiers of them. It would be really nice. We are using Mage Blood, no brainer. You do need a nice dex roll. Not a dex roll. You do need a nice strength roll, which is really easy. You want some good resistances. You want an attribute catalyst for more strength, and you're pretty much good to go. Our flask alongside the Mage Blood, we have increased effect with cast speed on a diamond flask for critical strike and cast speed. Resistances to cap out our resistances. As a suffix, if I take this off, you see right away we're missing some resistances. We're very low on lightning resistance, so we use this to cap our lightning resistance. Amethyst flask to help us cap our chaos resistance and give us more critical strike. And we have a nice little ruby flask to help us get to 85 all res because we're using a forbidden flame and flesh setup. Our ring, Original Sin. Yes, I know you're gonna be like, but this is expensive. It does tier 16s. I managed to farm an Original Sin, so my goals for the rest of the league are play fun Original Sin builds, and this is one of the ones that popped up on the list. Getting Original Sin, you can either like farm Sanctum or farm currency or borrow it from a friend. I don't know. Original Sin is pretty much the backbone of the next couple of builds that I'm going to be doing, and something I really enjoy playing with. Going forward in every league ever, as long as Original Sin's in the game, it is definitely going to be the biggest target item that I personally aim for every single league going forward, as it is the most craziest thing that I've ever played with, and fingers crossed it never gets nerfed or changed or any of that fun jazz. Our other ring is a synthesized ring for Arcane Surge on hits with spells. This gives us permanent Arcane Surge. And you can see the ring is not even done crafted. You know, I really want to work on it a little bit more. Essentially, we just hit it with a couple of essences until we got cast speed and an open suffix and some life. It's really straightforward and really simple. You just essence until cast speed, craft on strength and dex because you need a bunch of strength and dex, slam on some life if you can, and pretty much call it good. The synthesized ring in itself, to obtain the ring, they're not that bad. There's a bunch of them on the market at the time of recording. You should, in theory, be able to get yourself a ring. This one's only eye level 70, so there's a bunch of rings on the market. So if you do decide you want to try it, you can get it. As far as our amulet goes, we do indeed have a strength stacking amulet. We do need the percent increased strength. We are a strength and life stacker. This does come into play. Crafting our amulet was, you know, relatively straightforward. You just see we use some essences for strength until we hit global critical strike multi, and then we locked reforged for life until we hit tier 1 life. You want the open suffix for the non-channeling skills so that you can just do all the fun stuff. If I were to take this gear and make some upgrades, I would probably start with the ring and go for tier 1 life on the ring. I would Veiled Chaos the suffix for strength and dex, and then I would craft on non-channeling again there. As far as the staff goes, I would go for 20%. As far as the helmet goes, I'd probably go for RMR so I can like work around and change up the RMR. The boots, I would just fix the implicits. And then as far as this goes, I'd probably go for +1 and 50% reduced crit. Otherwise, everything else is pretty straightforward. And as far as this flask goes, this flask is really nice. I've used a recovery flask for more life, which is also really good. I've used the Bottle of Faith. This is also really good. The only real things that I would change, like I said, is I would try to corrupt my rings for immunity to bleeding and immunity to poison, because that's the only thing that really gives me a hard time. You don't really need to. It would be nice. It's wishful thinking, but that's just where we're at. As far as our Atlas and as far as our passive tree goes, it's a little bit of all over the place. We are, like I said, we are Berserker. We're Berserker for a couple of major reasons that we talked about earlier. We want Aspect of the Carnage. This gives us more damage. Yes, you do take increased damage taken, but the more damage outweighs it. We get rage on hit with attacks, no more than once every 0.3 seconds, which is whatever. We don't attack, but we get 10 to maximum rage, which is really, really, really nice. And then we come over here and we get the inherent effects from having rage are tripled. This is the big reason why we do this. Rite of Ruin is actually cracked and insane, and we love this, and it's great. There is a world where maybe you go Chieftain and do this, or you do something else and you do this, but I don't know. Rite of Ruin is sweet, and I like Berserker. I think it's really cool that we're Berserker, but there's probably ways around it if you do Rite of Ruin as a Forbidden Flame and Flesh. We take Flawless Savagery for increased critical strike chance. As far as the rest of the tree goes, it's pretty straightforward. We're taking Eternal Youth. Eternal Youth is how we generate our life back from having the staff. If we take off Eternal Youth, our life, as you see, just completely ticks away. There's nothing we can do. We have to put on a flask, and a flask is what starts to give us a little bit of life regeneration. But we have to take Eternal Youth, and Eternal Youth is the thing that says Energy Shield Recharge instead applies as life. So essentially, as long as we're not getting hit, we're regenerating life and everything works great. Iron Will, since we're strength stacking, we get tons and tons and tons of spell damage from Iron Will. We take all of the life mastery nodes because we want to have as much more life as we can, and then we take a bunch of life nodes. You see everything on the tree is pretty much stack strength, stack life, get more life and armor. As far as the jewels and stuff go, we do have a Dissolution of Flesh. This says that we get 29% more maximum life, and it removes all our energy shield, and it says life that would be lost by taking damage is instead reserved until you take no damage for 2 seconds. So in a combination of this into this, if we start taking a whole lot of damage, we're going to die, but as long as we don't take damage for 2 seconds, we recover all of our life. We also gain a bunch of life from killing things, so like we have really good recovery and sustain, but you will die to things like poison, which is why I mentioned like corrupting the rings. So you would like some sort of poison immunity. We have an Elegant Hubris. I bought the Caspiro like the guy in the POB had down below, but I found out that we're not doing Supreme Ostentation, so you don't need a Caspiro one. But ideally, you would like the Elegant Hubris so that you can get Frenzy Charge and hit and increase spell damage. When I gain another level, I'm going to be taking more spell damage here. This is why that I have the current leveling set up, and I've been doing the shrine stuff so I can fit in and get more spell damage. We have a large cluster here: Chaos Resistance, Intelligence, Life, and Increased Effect. We have Adorned Jewels for spell damage and max life. We come up over here: Sovereignty, No Brainer, Period of Flesh, Arcane Potency. We have another large cluster, 35% increased effect, Cold Resistance, all elemental resistances. This is how we cap some of our resistances. Ideally, we would redo this and make that tier 1 lightning resistance and the evasion into life. So you would go 35% increased effect, 4% all resistance, max life. Cold resistance would be lightning resistance, and then we'd be pretty much good to go. We have more critical strikes multiplier for spell damage, increased mass life jewels, and this Heart of Darkness for more damage, recover 1% of life per wither debuff on enemy you kill. This is one of the ways that we have good recovery while we're mapping. This is why I like doing tier 16 maps. We have another critical strike multi and spell and max life jewel. Another large cluster. This one is really interesting. We have Overwhelming Malice. This gives us Unholy Might. Unholy Might grants 100% of physical damage converted to chaos and 25% chance to apply wither on hit. So this is how we get our wither up really fast, nice and easy. Unholy Grace for increased attack and cast speed, and a Forbidden Flame and Flesh setup. The Valakos Storm Embrace is how we cap our resistances to 85 across the board. And this is one of the things that matches the exact wording of pulling it up for Valakos Storm Embrace. Says modifiers to maximum fire resistance also apply to maximum cold and lightning resistance. Hence why we have the Ruby Flask in our flask setup, because this is what's giving us tons and tons. If I take this off, you see we go to 76 all resistance. We put this back on, we go to 85, and that pairs up very nicely with Barbarism. Where is Barbarism? It's right here. This gives us 1 maximum all res. This is what puts us to 76 when we take this off. This puts us to 85, and that's what gives us that. Lastly, Pain Attunement for 30% more spell damage when on low life. Hence, one of the reasons why we have Petrified Blood, so that we're always on low life and we have 30% more spell damage. And an Adorned. Ideally, we would have a 150 Adorned. 150 would be the best possible Adorned that we can have for what we're trying to do. But unfortunately, we are not going to be spending an actual arm and a leg on an Adorned. But if you are debating on what kind of Adorned you need, in the description down below, I'm going to be including this wonderful spreadsheet for Adorned breakpoints. Essentially, the Adorned roll is on the top. So you look for the percent roll of the Adorned that you have, and on the left here would be the roll of the jewels that you're using. In our case, we're using 7 life jewels. So you see right here, in green, the max breakpoint for 7 life jewels. Right? These are 7% maximum life. Let's just double check this really quick. to make sure, 6 and 7. So ideally we'd have better jewels, but yeah, we would have 7% increased maximum life. You see on 7% increased maximum life, the maximum breakpoint's a 143. There's no difference between 143 and 150. And in terms of the 14 to 15% critical strike multiplier, we scroll down to 15%. We go all the way across and we see that there's absolutely no reason on the 15% line to have a 150. But because we have a 14%er and a 6%er, because we are cheap and broke and silly, 150s would be better. But if we had perfect jewels and we weren't cheap and we didn't half-ass it, the 148 that we had would absolutely be positively perfect. The only time that the 150 in this build would make a difference is if you're looking at the description and you see the gentleman who we copied, he did indeed have Adorned jewels that were corrupted for 2% for mana reservation of efficiency. This is what gives him the extra 1% per jewel. But because we did not go that route and we just put it in Enlightened 4 and we did some other things, we didn't absolutely have to positively have that. But depending on how you want to build it, if it's something you want to try, if it's something that you decided that you were going to put a ton of investment into, that is one way to look at it. But like I said, I don't know if anybody's going to want to try this. I figured, you know, Necropolis League has been a lot of fun. And we're at that stage where we have a lot of currency. A lot of people are looking for cool things to play. We could just show off some really fun stuff that we're trying out. And, you know, this is one of the things that was brought to me and I appreciate it. We do have other builds in the works. We do have a nice Blade Vortex build. We have a nice Clem Fandango build. And, you know, I've been experimenting and looking around with a bunch of really cool things. As far as something cool coming, the next one down the line is going to be Voltaxic Burst. But yeah, if you have a cool build or you're not sure, there's something really neat on POE Ninja and you want to talk about it or you want to look at it or you're just like, hey, is this bait or not? You know, how cool would this be to play? Let us know in the comments down below. Stop by the Twitch stream, post it in the Discord, and just kind of give us the heads up. We're always looking for new, fun, exciting things to try. And essentially, since, you know, we have some currency to burn and people are always looking for different things to play, I mean, hey, you never know. Maybe we find and stumble upon something cool. I actually really like this a lot. I think the Voltaxic Burst build is cooler, but we're going to save that one for later. But for now, friends, if you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you guys watching the video and you guys continuing to support the channel. You guys are out of this world, absolutely amazing. And I encourage you guys to come on over to any of the live streams, come hang out, come chat, come, you know, just, you know, hang out. But for now, friends, I'm going to get this video out to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.